The diplomatic vessel moved silently through the dark space between star systems. Inside the ship, Min checked the engine readings one more time. Everything looked normal. The numbers on his screen glowed softly in the dim light of the engineering bay. He had been working on this ship for 3 months now, making sure everything ran smoothly for the important mission. Min was 28 years old and had always been good with machines. When the human government asked for volunteers to join the diplomatic mission to the Empire, he raised his hand without thinking twice. This was history in the making. They were considering joining the Galactic Coalition, and humans were part of the delegation sent to make it happen. He stretched his arms and looked at the time. The formal dinner would start in an hour. Queen HFY would be there, along with Ambassador Dan and the rest of the human team. Min preferred working with engines over fancy dinners, but he had to attend. Everyone did. His friend Jin walked into the engineering bay carrying 2 cups of coffee. She was someone who studied alien life forms. Her hair was tied back in a simple ponytail, and she looked tired. "You need to get ready for the dinner," she said, handing him a cup. "We have 40 minutes." Min took the coffee and smiled. "I know. I just wanted to check the power distribution one more time. We are carrying a queen after all." Jin sat down on a metal crate. "Have you seen her up close? Her skin is incredible. It changes colors based on her emotions. Right now she seems calm, so it is a soft blue." "That must make lying difficult," Min said with a small laugh. They talked for a few more minutes before heading to their quarters to change into formal uniforms. Min put on his dark blue uniform and checked himself in the mirror. He looked presentable enough. He walked toward the dining hall, where other crew members were already gathering. The dining hall was beautiful. Long tables were set with dishes from both human and cultures. Queen H sat at the head of the main table. Her crystalline skin glowed with soft purple and blue colors. She was young for a queen, maybe in her early 30s by human standards. Her advisors sat near her, watching everything carefully. Ambassador Da stood and welcomed everyone. She spoke about friendship between species and the bright future ahead. Min listened politely while eating the strange but tasty food in front of him. Jin sat next to him, whispering facts about culture that he found interesting. Then the alarms went off. The lights in the dining hall flashed red. A loud mechanical voice announced a hull breach on Deck 3. People jumped to their feet. Security officers rushed toward the exits. Queen H stood up, her skin turning bright orange with alarm. Min's communication device buzzed. It was the engineering team leader. "Min, we have hostile ships outside. They are using some kind of phasing technology to get through our shields. Get to engineering now." He ran. The corridors were full of crew members rushing in different directions. Some were heading to their battle stations. Others were trying to secure the diplomatic guests. Min pushed through the crowd and reached the engineering bay in less than 2 minutes. The screens showed 3 small ships attached to their hull like parasites. Energy readings spiked and dropped in patterns he had never seen before. These were not normal attacks. "What are those ships?" Min asked. One of the engineers, a woman named Bora, looked terrified. "Vessels, they are trying to board us." Min had heard of they were raiders and kidnappers who used mind control parasites. If they got to Queen H, they could control her. They could control the entire empire through her. He looked at the energy readings again. The ships were creating phase shifts that let them bypass normal shields, but phase shifts left a signature. If he could match that signature with a reverse wave, he might be able to disrupt their technology. "I need to get to the Queen," Min said suddenly. Bora looked at him like he was crazy. "Security will handle it." "No, they will not. Look at these readings. They are not just boarding, they are targeting her specifically. I can stop them, but I need to be there." He grabbed a portable shield generator from the equipment locker. It was designed for protecting sensitive equipment during repairs, not for combat. But it was all he had. He ran out of engineering and toward the royal quarters. The corridors were chaos. Smoke filled the air. Min heard weapons fire echoing from somewhere ahead. He turned a corner and saw 3 security officers fighting against strange creatures that looked like insects mixed with shadows. One of the officers went down. The moved past them, heading straight for the royal quarters. Min followed, his heart pounding in his chest. He reached the Queen's door just as it exploded inward. Inside, Queen H stood with 2 guards, but had already gotten past them. The creature moved fast, too fast. It had something in its hand, a needle filled with dark liquid. The neural parasite. Min did not think. He ran forward and tackled They hit the ground hard. The creature screamed, a sound that hurt his ears. It tried to stab him with the needle, but he grabbed its arm. The shield generator was still in his other hand. An idea formed in his mind. It was dangerous. It might kill him, but it would work. He activated the generator and pressed it against The device was designed to create a protective field, but if he reversed the polarity and overloaded it, it would create a feedback pulse. The pulse would destroy anything using phase technology nearby. "Get back," he shouted to the Queen. Queen H stepped backward, her skin flashing between red and white with fear and confusion. Min changed the settings on the generator. His hands shook. The realized what he was doing and screamed again. More rushed into the room. He looked up at Queen H one last time. She was beautiful and terrified and so very alive. He smiled at her. "Stay safe," he said. Then he activated the overload. The world turned white. Energy exploded outward in a wave that destroyed every in the room. But the feedback created something else, something unexpected. A tear in space itself. A swirling vortex of light and darkness appeared right where Min stood. He felt himself being pulled. His feet left the ground. The shield generator exploded in his hand, but he barely felt the pain. The vortex was sucking him in like water down a drain. Queen H screamed his name. She reached for him, but her guards held her back. The last thing Min saw was her face, her skin flashing through every color at once, before the vortex swallowed him completely. Then there was only darkness and the feeling of falling forever. 5 years had passed since Min disappeared. The galaxy had changed in that time. Queen H was no longer the frightened young ruler who watched a human sacrifice himself to save her life. She had become one of the most powerful voices in the Galactic Coalition, a symbol of unity between species. But she never forgot the human who saved her. On every world, monuments stood in Min's honor. His name was taught to children as an example of true heroism. The people called him the vanished savior and spoke of him with reverence usually reserved for ancient legends. Jin stood in her laboratory on the Coalition research station orbiting the planet Helios Prime. The lab was cluttered with equipment, star charts, and half-empty coffee cups. She looked exhausted. Her assistant, a young physicist named Wu, watched her with concern. "You need to sleep," Wu said gently. "You have been working for 36 hours straight." Jin shook her head without looking away from her screen. "I am close to something. The energy signature from the wormhole that took Min. It matches a pattern I found in 3 other spatial anomalies recorded in the past decade." Wu had heard this before. Everyone at the research station knew about Jin's obsession with finding her lost friend. Most people thought it was sad. Some thought it was unhealthy, but Wu believed in her. There was something in Jin's eyes, a certainty that made him think she might actually be right. "What kind of pattern?" he asked, moving closer to her screen. "The wormholes are not random. They connect to a specific region of space. Look here." She pointed at a map showing the outer rim of known space. All the signatures point to this area. It is called the Void Sector. No one goes there because sensor readings come back scrambled. But what if that is where Min ended up? Before Wu could respond, an alert flashed on the main console. Jin opened it quickly. Her eyes went wide. A coalition survey ship just detected an energy signature near the void sector. It matches the wormhole that took Min. Her voice shook with excitement. Wu looked at the data. The signal is intermittent. It appears for a few seconds, then disappears, like something is trying to break through. Jin was already moving. She grabbed her jacket and started downloading the data to a portable drive. We need to go there, now. The director will never approve this, Wu said. Director told you last month to stop wasting resources on this search. Then we will not ask for permission. Jin's jaw was set with determination. I am not losing this chance. If there is even the smallest possibility that Min is alive, I have to try. She contacted Commander Ah, the head of security for the research station. Ah was a practical woman who did not believe in wild theories, but she owed Jin a favor from a previous mission. When Jin explained the situation, Ah was silent for a long moment. You are asking me to help you steal a research vessel and go on an unauthorized mission to one of the most dangerous regions of space, Ah said flatly. Yes. Another pause, then Ah sighed. I will assemble a security team, but if this goes wrong, we are all going to lose our jobs. If I am right, none of that will matter, Jin replied. Within hours, they were preparing to leave. Jin, Wu, Ah, and 5 security officers boarded a mid-sized research vessel called the Seeker. The ship was fast and equipped with advanced sensors, perfect for investigating spatial anomalies. As they ran through the pre-flight checklist, another ship requested permission to dock. Jin frowned and checked the identification codes. Her eyes went wide again. It is the royal yacht. Queen H is here. Ah stood up quickly. The Queen, why would she come here? They soon found out. Queen H walked onto the Seeker with only 2 royal guards following her. Her crystalline skin glowed with determination, showing streaks of gold and deep blue. She looked directly at Jin. I heard about the energy signature. I am coming with you, the Queen said. Her voice left no room for argument. Jin bowed respectfully. Your Majesty, this mission is dangerous. We do not even know if we will find anything. That human gave his life to save mine. If there is a chance he is still alive, then I will be there when he returns. This is not a request. This is what must happen. Ah looked like she wanted to protest, but what could she say? You could not order a queen to stay behind. They made room for Queen H and her guards, and the Seeker departed from the station. The journey to the void sector took 3 days. During that time, Wu worked with Jin to study the energy signatures. The more they analyzed the data, the more convinced they became that something was actively trying to break through from the other side. It is like knocking on a door, Wu explained to the others during a briefing. Whatever is over there wants to come back. Queen H listened carefully. She spent most of the journey in quiet meditation, but Jin noticed that the Queen often touched a small pendant around her neck. It was made from crystallized material and bore Min's name in both human and languages. When they finally reached the coordinates, everyone gathered on the bridge. Through the viewports, they could see the anomaly. It looked like a wound in space itself, a dark spot surrounded by swirling colors that should not exist together. Sensors are going crazy, Wu reported. I am reading multiple dimensions overlapping. Time is not flowing normally near that thing. Jin guided the ship closer. The anomaly pulsed, growing brighter and then dimmer in irregular patterns. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the ship. The rift is expanding, Ah shouted. Energy cascaded outward from the anomaly like a wave. The Seeker's shields activated automatically, protecting them from the worst of it. The bridge lights flickered. Then, through the blazing light, something emerged. It was small, roughly the size of an escape pod. The object tumbled out of the rift, clearly damaged. Parts of its hull were scorched and melted, but Jin recognized the basic design. It was human technology, though modified with equipment she had never seen before. Get a tractor beam on it, she ordered. Oz team locked onto the pod and pulled it into the Seeker's cargo bay. Everyone rushed down to see it. The security officers secured the area while Wu scanned the pod for dangerous radiation or booby traps. It is safe to open, he announced. Ah manually unlocked the hatch. It resisted at first, the mechanisms damaged and old. With a loud groan, the hatch finally opened. Steam poured out, and there was a smell of burnt metal and something else, something organic but strange. Inside the pod lay a man. He was unconscious, his face covered with a rough beard. His clothes were a mix of materials, some human and some completely alien. Strange scars marked his exposed arms, scars that seemed to shimmer with a faint light. Jin stepped forward slowly. Her hand covered her mouth, tears filled her eyes. "Men," she whispered. Queen H moved past everyone and knelt beside the pod. She reached out with a shaking hand and touched Min's face. Her skin flashed through a dozen colors in seconds, emotions too complex for words. "He is alive," she said, her voice breaking. "The human who vanished has returned." They carried Min to the medical bay immediately. Dr. Min, the ship's doctor, worked quickly to assess his condition. The readings on the medical scanner made him frown deeply. "This is very unusual," Dr. Min said, looking at Jin and Queen H who stood nearby. "His cells contain traces of matter that should not exist in our dimension. His neural patterns show exposure to nonlinear time. It is like his body experienced time differently than we did." "What does that mean?" Jin asked, her voice tight with worry. "It means that while 5 years passed for us, much more time passed for him. Based on these readings, I estimate he experienced at least 12 to 15 years. The weight of those words settled over everyone in the room. Queen H's skin turned pale blue, the color of deep sadness. Several hours later, Min began to wake. His eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first. He tried to sit up, but his body was weak. When he saw the people around him, confusion crossed his face. He said something in a language no one recognized, harsh sounds that seemed wrong coming from a human mouth. Jin stepped closer. "Min, can you understand me? It is Jin." He stared at her for a long moment. Then something changed in his eyes. Recognition and memory flooded back. His hand reached up to touch his own face, feeling the beard there as if surprised by it. "Jin," his voice was rough from disuse. "Where am I? What year is it?" "You are safe. You are on a coalition research vessel. It has been 5 years since you disappeared." Min closed his eyes. A tear ran down his cheek. 5 years, only 5 years for you." Queen H moved into his view. When Min saw her, his whole body tensed. Then he started crying in earnest, his shoulders shaking. "You are safe. You are alive. They did not get you." The queen took his hand gently. Her skin glowed with warm colors. "Because of you, you saved my life and the lives of countless others, the failed that day." Over the next few hours, as Min regained his strength, they helped him eat and drink. He was thin, too thin, like someone who had struggled for food many times. Scars covered his arms and chest, some old and faded, others more recent. Once he was stable, they gathered in the briefing room. Min sat at the table with a blanket wrapped around his shoulders. He looked at each person there: Jin, Wu, Queen H, Commander Ah, and Dr. Min. His eyes held a hardness that had not been there before. "I need to tell you what happened to me," Min began, "and I need to warn you about what is coming." He took a deep breath and started his story. When the wormhole took him, he was not destroyed. Instead, he was thrown through dimensions and crashed on a planet called Ara in a region of space known as the Void Sector. The planet was dying, its sun flickering like a candle about to go out. But the planet was not empty. It was inhabited by beings called an ancient race that once ruled dozens of star systems, but they had been nearly destroyed by the centuries ago. The survivors lived in underground cities, hiding from the ships that still hunted them. "They saved my life," Min said. "They found me in the crashed pod and brought me to their city. They taught me their language, their technology, and how to survive in the void sector where normal physics barely work." "How long were you there?" Jin asked softly. 15 years. 15 years of fighting, hiding, and watching friends die." His voice was flat, emotionless. "They never stopped looking for they wanted to finish what they started centuries ago." Wu leaned forward. "Why did they attack thee in the first place?" Min's expression darkened. "Because they are not just raiders. They are not just parasites. They are the advance force of something called the consuming tide. It is a hive-mind entity that devours entire civilizations. They take over populations using their parasites, then feed those populations to the tide." The room went silent. Queen H's skin flashed red with anger. "The attack on you 5 years ago was not random," Min continued, looking directly at the Queen. "They wanted to control you so they could use the Empire to help them invade Coalition space, and they are still trying." Commander Ah stood up. "That is a serious accusation. Do you have proof?" "I do." Min reached into the pocket of his strange clothes and pulled out a small device. It looked like a mix of human and alien technology. "This is a neural scanner. It can detect parasites even when they are dormant. They learned how to make these after centuries of fighting He placed the device on the table. "I am telling you that they have already infiltrated the Galactic Coalition. They have agents in your governments, your militaries, and your research facilities. The invasion has already begun." Jin looked at him with wide eyes. "That is impossible. We would have noticed." "Would you?" Min's voice was hard. "The parasites can lie dormant for years. They gather information slowly, quietly. The hosts do not even know they are compromised until the parasite activates, and when it does, it is too late." Ah crossed her arms. "This is difficult to believe. We need evidence." "Then let me prove it." Min picked up the scanner and activated it. The device hummed softly and projected a field of blue light. He pointed it at each person in the room. Jin, Wu, Dr. Min, and Queen H all showed clean readings. But when he pointed it at one of Ah's security officers standing by the door, the device turned red and started beeping. Everyone turned to look at the officer, a young man named Dong. His face went pale. Then his expression changed completely. His eyes became distant and cold. Before anyone could react, he pulled out a small knife and tried to run toward Queen H. Ah was faster. She tackled Dong to the ground and restrained him with practiced efficiency. The young man fought with inhuman strength, but 2 more security officers helped hold him down. Dr. Min rushed forward with a sedative and injected Dong. Within seconds, the man went limp. They carried him to the medical bay and secured him to a bed. The doctor performed a detailed scan and found exactly what Min had warned them about, a parasite attached to the base of his brain stem. "How long has he been compromised?" Ah demanded, her face filled with anger and betrayal. "Based on the parasite's growth, at least 6 months, Dr. Min said quietly. Min stood at the doorway of the medical bay, watching. "This is what they do. They get inside your organization slowly. One person here, another there. You do not notice until it is too late." Queen H's skin was dark purple, the color of deep determination. "We need to scan everyone. If there is one compromised person, there could be more." Over the next several hours, Min used the scanner on every person aboard the Seeker. They found 2 more compromised individuals among the crew. Both were in early stages of infection, the parasite still dormant. The discovery sent waves of fear and paranoia through everyone. Ah contacted Coalition Command to report what they had found, but Min stopped her before she could send the full message. "Do not tell them everything," he said. "If they have infiltrated the Coalition, they are listening to your communications. You will just warn them that we know." "Then what do we do?" Ah asked. Min looked tired, older than his years. We build a network of people we can trust. We quietly scan key personnel and remove the compromised ones. And we prepare for war because the consuming tide is coming. They are just the beginning. Jin moved to stand beside him. She put a hand on his shoulder. You are not alone in this anymore. We will fight together. Min looked at her, and for the first time since waking up, he smiled. It was a small, sad smile, but it was real. I spent 15 years thinking I would die in the void sector. I never thought I would see any of you again. But you did, Queen H said, stepping forward. You survived. You brought back knowledge that could save us all. You are a hero twice over now. I do not feel like a hero, Min said softly. I feel like a soldier who has been fighting for too long. Then rest, Jin said gently. Let us carry this burden with you for now. The news of Min's return spread quickly through coalition channels, though the full truth about the infiltration remained secret. Commander Ah reported to Coalition Command that they had found a survivor from the incident 5 years ago, but she left out the details about the parasites and the compromised crew members. Director, Jin's superior at the Coalition Research Institute, demanded that Min be brought to the capital immediately for formal debriefing. His messages grew more insistent each day, but Queen H refused to allow it. She declared that Min was under royal protection and would remain with the team that rescued him. This created tension between the leadership and coalition officials. Some accused the Queen of overstepping her authority. Others supported her decision, remembering that Min had saved her life. Political arguments flew back and forth while Min recovered aboard the Seeker. During his recovery, Min worked closely with Jin and Wu. He taught them how to use the scanner and explained the science behind it. The technology was far more advanced than anything the Coalition had, using quantum resonance to detect the unique neural patterns created by parasites. They spent centuries developing this, Min explained as Wu carefully examined the device. Every time they adapted, they found a new way to detect them. It became a game of survival. Wu looked up from his work. Can we replicate this technology, build more scanners? Yes, I brought back complete schematics, but we need to be careful about who we share them with. If they learn we can detect them easily, they will change their tactics. Jin sat across from them, studying Min carefully. She could see the changes in her old friend. He moved differently now, with the careful awareness of someone always expecting danger. His hands bore calluses from weapon use. When he slept, he had nightmares that made him wake up reaching for weapons that were not there. One evening, after everyone else had gone to rest, Jin found Min in the observation deck. He stood at the window, looking out at the stars. She approached quietly and stood beside him. You are different, she said softly. Not just older, changed. Min nodded slowly. 15 years of war does that. I saw things in the void sector that I wish I could forget. Worlds consumed by the entire populations turned into drones. Children, Jin. I watched children get infected because we could not save them in time. You did what you could. Did I? His voice was bitter. I could have tried to come back sooner. They showed me ways to stabilize wormholes. But I stayed. I kept fighting because I felt responsible for them. I abandoned hope of coming home because I thought everyone believed I was dead anyway. Jin put her hand on his arm. We never stopped looking for you. I spent 5 years searching. I never believed you were dead. He turned to look at her, surprised. 5 years. Every day, Wu thought I was obsessed. Director told me I was wasting resources, but I knew you were out there somewhere, and I was right. Min's eyes filled with tears again. He pulled Jin into a tight hug. Thank you, he whispered. Thank you for not giving up on me. They stood there for a long moment before Min pulled back. His expression became serious again. We need to act soon. The longer we wait, the deeper the infiltration becomes. I have been thinking about how to expose them without causing panic. What do you suggest? We need to gather high-ranking officials in one place. Queen H can organize a diplomatic conference, something that would not seem suspicious. We scan everyone who attends. Anyone who is compromised, we quietly detain. Once we have proof, we expose the conspiracy publicly. It was a risky plan, but they had few options. Over the next few days, they refined the details with Queen H and Commander Ah. The Queen used her influence to arrange a diplomatic summit on Horizon's Gate, a neutral space station often used for important coalition meetings. The official purpose of the summit was to discuss new trade agreements between the Empire and coalition worlds. In reality, it was a trap designed to catch infiltrators. They carefully selected which officials to invite: military commanders, planetary governors, research directors, and security chiefs from across coalition space. These were people in positions of power who could do enormous damage if compromised. Meanwhile, Wu worked day and night to build additional scanners based on Min's specifications. They needed enough devices to scan everyone quickly without raising suspicion. Min helped him, sharing knowledge he had learned from the engineers. As the summit date approached, Min became increasingly tense. Jin noticed him checking weapons and security systems repeatedly. One afternoon, she found him in the armory, cleaning a plasma rifle with practiced efficiency. "When did you learn to do that?" she asked. "Year 3 in the Void Sector. They attacked our settlement. Everyone had to learn to fight or die. I chose to learn." He set the rifle down and looked at her. "I am not the engineer you remember. That person died in the wormhole. I am what survived." "You are still Min, still the person who sacrificed everything to save someone else. That part of you did not die." He smiled sadly. "Maybe you are right." The day before the summit, Director arrived at the Seeker in person. He insisted on speaking with Min directly. They met in the briefing room, with Jin and Queen H present. Was a tall man with graying hair and sharp eyes. He looked at Min with an expression that was hard to read. "You have caused quite a disruption, young man. 5 years gone, and you return with wild stories about infiltration. Some people think you have lost your mind." "Then those people are fools," Min replied coldly. "I have proof. We have already found 3 compromised individuals on this ship alone." "Yes, I read Commander Ah's report, but 3 people do not indicate a galaxy-wide conspiracy. They are raiders, not an organized invasion force." Queen H's skin flashed red. "They tried to kill me 5 years ago. They wanted to control the Empire. Do you think that was random?" Spread his hands in a calming gesture. "I am not saying they are not dangerous. I am saying we must not cause panic over unproven theories. Tomorrow's summit will proceed as planned. If you find real evidence, we will act on it. But spreading fear and paranoia will only harm the coalition." After left, Min turned to the others. "He does not believe me." "Many will not," Ah said. "Not until they see proof with their own eyes." "Then we will give them proof," Min said firmly. "Tomorrow at the summit." That night Min could not sleep. He walked through the corridors of the Seeker, his mind filled with memories of the Void Sector. He thought about his friends among the warriors who had fought beside him for 15 years. Many of them had died in that endless war. He found himself in front of Queen H's quarters. He hesitated, then knocked softly. The door opened, and the Queen stood there in simple robes. Her skin glowed with soft blue and purple colors. "I cannot sleep either," she said, stepping aside to let him enter. They sat in her small common area. Min looked at his hands, at the scars that covered them. "Do you ever regret it? The day I saved you. If I had not been there, maybe you would have been killed and none of this would matter." Queen H's skin flashed bright gold with anger. "Never say that. If you had not saved me, they would have controlled the Empire. They would have used my people to attack the coalition from within. You saved billions of lives that day." "At what cost? 15 years of my life, 15 years of war and death." "A cost you chose to pay," she said gently. No one forced you. You saw someone in danger and you acted. That is who you are, Min. That is why I will never forget you, even when I am old and my skin no longer changes colors." He looked at her and saw genuine affection in her eyes. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for not forgetting me." "How could I?" she smiled. "You are the human who vanished, and now you have returned to save us all again." Horizon's Gate was one of the largest space stations in Coalition territory. It floated in neutral space between three major star systems, a massive structure of metal and glass that served as a meeting place for diplomats, traders, and military officials. Today, it hosted what appeared to be a simple trade summit, but Min knew the truth. This was a trap, and they were about to spring it. The station's main conference hall was filled with important people from across the galaxy. Military commanders in their decorated uniforms, planetary governors with their advisors, research directors from major institutions. Queen H had used all her influence to gather them here, and they came because rejecting a queen's invitation would be a serious insult. Min stood in a monitoring room above the conference hall, watching through one-way glass. He wore a formal coalition uniform that felt strange after 15 years of wearing whatever clothes he could find. Jin and Wu worked at control panels, ready to scan everyone in the room below. Commander Ah had positioned her security team throughout the station, all of them armed and ready. "There are over 200 people down there," Wu said nervously. "If this goes wrong, we could start a war." "If we do nothing, they will win without firing a shot," Min replied. "Begin the scans." They activated the scanners built into the station's security system. The devices were invisible to everyone below. The readings started coming in immediately. Most officials showed clean results, but then the red warnings began appearing. 20 people, then 30, then 40. "This cannot be right," Jin whispered, staring at the screen in horror. "That is nearly 20% of everyone here." Min's jaw was tight. "I told you, the infiltration is deep." Ah spoke into her communication device, alerting her teams. They needed to be ready to act quickly, but they had to wait for the right moment. They needed undeniable proof that everyone could see. Queen H began her opening speech in the conference hall below. She spoke about cooperation between species and the bright future of the coalition. Her words were beautiful and inspiring, but Min watched the compromised officials, seeing how they positioned themselves near exits and key officials who were clean. They were preparing for something. "They know," Min said suddenly. "Look at their positions. They are getting ready to make a move." Before anyone could respond, alarms blared throughout the station. Multiple hull breaches. Emergency bulkheads started closing. People in the conference hall began panicking and running for exits. The compromised officials moved as one. They pulled weapons from hidden places and started firing at specific targets. They were trying to kill Queen H and the key military commanders loyal to the coalition. It was an assassination coordinated across dozens of people at once. But Min had prepared for this. He and Wu had secretly reinforced the conference hall and installed emergency shields. When the compromised officials opened fire, energy barriers appeared around their targets, protecting them. The bullets and plasma bolts struck the shields harmlessly. Ah's security teams moved in quickly. Fighting erupted throughout the station. The compromised officials fought with inhuman coordination, completely willing to die. It was like fighting drones controlled by a single mind. Min grabbed a rifle and ran toward the conference hall. Jin tried to stop him, but he pulled free. "Stay here and keep broadcasting evidence of the infiltration to the entire coalition. Everyone needs to see this." He ran through corridors filled with smoke and the sounds of weapons fire. He had trained for situations like this in the Void sector. His body moved on instinct, dodging and weaving through danger. He took down 2 compromised guards who tried to ambush him, his shots precise and efficient. When he reached the conference hall, chaos greeted him. Queen H stood behind her shields while her guards fought off attackers, but more compromised officials kept coming, wave after wave. Min joined the fight, his rifle barking as he provided covering fire. A voice called his name. He turned and saw Director approaching, but something was wrong. The Director's eyes were distant and cold, just like the compromised crew members they had found earlier. "You should have died in the void sector," said, his voice flat and emotionless. "They allowed you to return because they thought you would lead us to the Queen, but you were smarter than we expected. You set a trap." "How long?" Min asked, keeping his rifle pointed at the Director. "How long have you been compromised?" 3 years. I have been feeding the information about coalition defenses and research projects. I helped them place agents throughout the government. And now, even if you stop us today, there are hundreds more already in position. The consuming tide is coming and you cannot stop it." Moved his hand toward something in his coat. Min fired without hesitation. The Director fell and Min immediately checked him, had been reaching for a detonator. He was planning to blow up the entire conference hall. Min disabled the device and called for medical help. Even compromised, might have valuable information if they could remove the parasite safely. The fighting continued for another 30 minutes before Oz forces gained control. They captured or killed all the compromised officials. The station was secured, though badly damaged. Most importantly, they had saved Queen H and the loyal coalition officials. Jin had broadcast everything across coalition communication channels. The evidence was undeniable. Everyone had seen compromised officials attack in coordination. They had seen the parasites revealed during medical examinations. The galaxy now knew the truth about the infiltration. In the days following the battle, the coalition mobilized like never before. Every official, military officer, and government worker was scanned for parasites. Hundreds more compromised individuals were found and quietly detained. The purge was massive and necessary. Min stood in the medical bay of Horizon's Gate, watching doctors work on the captured infiltrators. They were attempting to remove the parasites without killing the hosts. It was difficult work, but the technology was helping. Queen H found him there. Her skin showed a mix of colors, relief and sadness and determination all blended together. "The Coalition Council wants to speak with you," she said. "They want to offer you a formal position. They are calling it Special Envoy to the Void Sector." Min turned to look at her. "What does that mean?" "It means you will lead missions back to the Void Sector. You will make contact with the survivors and bring them into the Coalition. You will help prepare us for the war against the consuming tide. It is a role only you can fill." He thought about it for a moment. The idea of going back to the Void Sector both terrified and comforted him. It had been his home for 15 years after all. "I will do it," he said, "but only if I can choose my team." Queen H smiled. "I think that can be arranged." Later that evening, Min found Jin on an observation deck. She was watching repair crews work on the damaged sections of the station. He stood beside her quietly. "Thank you," he said after a moment, "for never giving up on me, for believing I was alive when everyone else thought I was dead." Jin turned to him with tears in her eyes. "You are my friend. I could never give up on you." "I am not the same person who disappeared 5 years ago," Min said carefully. 15 years changed me. I have done things I am not proud of, killed people, made hard choices that cost lives. I am not sure I know how to be normal anymore." "Then we will figure it out together," Jin said firmly. "You do not have to face this alone. The war, the memories, the nightmares. Whatever you need, I will be there." Min felt something break inside him, a wall he had built around his heart to survive the void sector. He pulled Jin into a hug and let himself cry. For the first time in 15 years, he felt truly safe. 3 months later, a coalition fleet assembled near the void sector. Min stood on the bridge of the lead ship, watching the swirling anomaly that had once trapped him. Jin stood beside him. Wu was at a console running sensor scans. Commander Ah commanded the security forces, and Queen H herself had chosen to join the expedition against the advice of her council. "Are you ready?" Queen H asked Min. He nodded. "They are waiting. They have been fighting alone for centuries. It is time they had allies." The fleet moved forward, passing through the stabilized rift into the void sector. On the other side, they found a region of space where stars flickered strangely and physics worked differently. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. A message came through on their communications. It was in the language, but Min understood it perfectly. "Welcome home, warrior. We have been expecting you." Min smiled and responded in the same language. Then he switched to standard coalition speech so everyone could understand. "We are not here just to visit. We are here to form an alliance. The consuming tide threatens us all. Together, we can fight back." As the fleet moved deeper into the void sector, Min looked back one more time at normal space. He had been the human who vanished after saving the alien queen. He had survived 15 years of hell. He had returned to save his people from an invisible invasion. And now he was leading the way into a new future, one where humans and countless other species would stand together against the darkness. He was not just a survivor anymore. He was not just a hero. He was a bridge between worlds, and his story was far from over. The real war was just beginning, but for the first time in 15 years, Min felt hope. He was not alone, and neither was anyone else. The galaxy would face the consuming tide together, and they would win, no matter how long it took.